One Zambia, one nation. Good evening and welcome to this presentation of the main news here on ZNBC TV1 at 19 hours with me, Pennifa Nyirenda. And our sign language interpreter this evening is Isabel Banda. Let's look at the top stories. The Law Association of Zambia says it is opposed to the holding of the national referendum alongside this year's general elections. President Edgar Lungu chairs a cabinet meeting at Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka. Construction of transmission line by ZESCO to connect Northwestern Province to the national electricity grid has advanced. Making headlines in sports, a visiting handball coach from Norway says the introduction of handball in schools in Zambia will help grow the sport. And other news in detail. The Law Association of Zambia, LAZ, is opposed to the holding of the national referendum alongside this year's general elections. LAZ President Linda Kasonde says holding the referendum alongside the general elections will likely result in the matter becoming a political campaign issue by various political parties involved. Ms. Kasonde says LAZ is concerned that up to now, the proposed Bill of Rights has not been published to increase awareness on the contents. She has further appealed to government to translate the Bill of Rights into local languages. Ms. Kasonde says lack of sensitization on the Bill of Rights creates a situation where people will be voting on the referendum on partisan lines rather than on the content. Zambia is scheduled to go to the polls on August 11, 2016, during which the national referendum will also be held to garner consensus on the expanded Bill of Rights. But Vice President Inongewina recently said she was hopeful that the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, will soon conclude formulating modalities of the referendum. Mrs. Wina said modalities of the referendum are being formulated by the ECZ and the Ministry of Justice. The Vice President said the referendum will determine any changes that should be made to the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. Mrs. Wina was speaking when she addressed Zambians living in the United Kingdom in London during a dinner at the Zambian Mission. And LAZ has advised political parties to restrain their members from perpetrating violence in their campaigns ahead of the general elections. Ms. Kasonde says politicians must focus on issue-based campaigns and avoid provocative statements. Speaking in an interview with ZNBC News in Lusaka today, Ms. Kasonde explained that violence has no room in a democratic dispensation.
The police controlling the situation and to do so in the most impartial manner, because obviously the different political parties are involved in these different uprisings. So we need impartiality on the police services part to ensure that the situation is managed, whoever is involved in this sort of violence. I think it's important that as an emerging democracy, we need to strive as much as possible to make our campaigns issue-based, and that avoids the attacks on personalities that we've seen that is becoming prevalent in our country and is most unwelcome.
And Chief Mumena of the Kaonde-speaking people in Solwezi district has urged the church to keep praying for the preservation of national unity. Speaking when he graced a fundraising concert at Chimwemwe Evangelical Church in Kitwe district on the Cowbelt province, Chief Mumena said the church has a duty to give guidance to politicians on how best they can provide national leadership. He said there is need for the church to help in preserving good governance, love and unity among people from a cross-section of society.
I have been saddened by the recent occurrences in the country where our children from Rwanda and other foreign nations were beaten and displaced from their homes and their businesses on mere suspicion that they were involved in ritual killings. We do not agree with the ritual killings, and that idea itself must be condemned. And yet when all these things were happening, all peace-loving citizens were quiet. And where is the voice of the church?
President Edgar Lungu today chaired a cabinet meeting which was held at Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka. This is despite today being a public holiday following the Labor Day celebrations which fell yesterday. President Lungu arrived at the venue around 09 hours before proceeding into the meeting. The meeting, which started at about 9:30 hours, was attended by Vice President Inonge Wina, cabinet ministers and their deputies. By broadcast time, the meeting was still underway. The Patriotic Front PF says it has reached advanced stage in the adoption of candidates for parliamentary and local government seats in the August general election. PF Deputy Spokesperson Frank Walia says the provincial committees are now finalizing reports on the adoption process. Mr. Walia told ZNBC News in an interview that the reports are being forwarded to the party Secretary General Davis Chama before final consideration by the party's Central Committee.
Patriotic Front is being looked at by the people of Zambia as a custodian, a true and honest custodian of the interest of this country. So the Zambian people have an interest in the operations of the Patriotic Front as the governing party. It is therefore necessary for us to report once in a while to the Zambian people what is happening in their party, the Patriotic Front. This time around, we want to report that the adoption process has advanced. I think all the provinces by now are compiling reports to bring to our secretariat so that we can set the stage for a central committee meeting at which everything should be concluded. The process has been highly competitive, and the reason is very simple, because PF represents the most attractive party ticket that any candidate can stand on. So it has been very, very competitive, and we want to reiterate the information that the President has always been putting out, that no single candidate has been adopted. The only candidate who has been adopted is the presidential candidate, who happens to be the one and only Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu, Mr. Walk the Talk.
Meanwhile, Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD President Neves Mumba says his party has also made progress in the adoption of parliamentary candidates. Dr. Mumba told ZNBC in a telephone interview that the party is expected to come up with a clean list of its adopted parliamentary candidates in the next 2 weeks. And United Party for National Development UPND Deputy Spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa also told ZNBC News in a telephone interview that his party will finalize the adoption of its parliamentary candidates in a week's time. Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee Davis Miller has called for calm among aspiring candidates during the adoption process for the August 11 pause. Mr. Miller says the Central Committee expects party members to accept whoever will be picked to stand in various positions. He has urged candidates who will be left out to support and rally behind adopted candidates. Speaking when he met PF members in Luansha, Mr. Miller, who is also Home Affairs Minister, encouraged members to continue mobilizing the party at grassroots, such as branches and wards, to scoop the pause.
That's how the loyalty is. If you are loyal to the party, you have to accept the decision of the party. So I hope that's the way it will be. But we are expecting a Central Committee to sit maybe in the second week of May. Because 29 is nominations for members of Parliament, 28 is for mayors and council chairmen. But looking at the situation, especially in Rwanda, we are working on the roads. Because that's what people wanted. And once we continue fulfilling what we promised, I hope that the people of Rwanda will vote for the party.
The construction of the $163 million United States power transmission line by ZESCO to connect Northwestern Province to the national electricity grid has advanced. ZESCO spokesperson Henry Kapata says construction works of the power transmission line are expected to complete and commissioned before the end of June this year. Mr. Kapata says the power utility company is currently spending over $8 million to run diesel electricity generators, which provide electricity to some districts in the province. Mark Ziligone now reports.
Is the multi-million-dollar power transmission line, which will see the entire northwestern province connected to the national grid. The project, which has been under construction for about 9 months, is almost ready for commissioning. ZESCO spokesperson Henry Kapata was at the Munilunga substation to check on the progress.
So there's massive progress going on currently here in Northwestern Province. This will, of course, activate some of the economic activities that people here have been looking forward to, because certain businesses cannot exist here because they depend on diesel gensets that can be extremely costly for a business entity to survive in Northwestern Province as a result of the diesel gensets. And so we are headed towards the right direction in making sure that each and every town in this country is connected to the national grid.
Airtel Transmission Munilunga site manager Peter Johansson says the works are on course with 3 substations almost complete.
We started this project, this platform, around last year in July. And we are expecting it to be finished end of June, end of June. It will be finished, power on.
Munilunga district will be the first to be connected in the province, and the people are happy with the development.
A long time ago we have had a lot of difficulties in getting proper electricity for our supply or for the fridges and other refrigerated things that we sell. And also even PQs in classes and a lot of things that we do. Even in some business haunted because of no good electricity supply.
That thing will help us. As for now we don't have power, so our business is down. That thing will help us.
Currently, Munilunga district and other districts here in Northwestern Province depend on a diesel generator set which provides about 1.2 megawatts of electricity. This facility is expected to provide about 22 megawatts of power when complete. Mark Ziligone, ZNBC News, Munilunga.
Meanwhile, government will spend a total of 99 million kwacha to connect Shango district to the national grid. Western Province Minister Poniso Njeolu says the exercise is expected to commence soon. Mr. Njeolu told ZNBC News in an interview today that the area will, for the meantime, continue using the thermal power supply. The provincial minister, who is also Sinjembela Member of Parliament, also says the Zambia Telecommunication Authority, ZECTA, has given Shango district 11 telecommunication towers. Mr. Njeolu says the towers will be set up in Mambolomoka, Sipuma, Kaungamashi, Sinjembela, Mutomena, Mulele, Mwanambao, Reshe, State Ranch, Lupuka and Siwelewele wards. He said the new towers will boost network as the area only has 3 towers. And Mr. Njeolu also disclosed that Mount Meru plans to put up a filling station in Sioma district. Sioma and Shango districts currently have no filling stations, and they depend on Senanga in neighboring Angola and Namibia for fuel. The Patriotic Front has defended the new retirement age that government has amended. PF Chairperson for Labour, Joyce Nonde Simukoko, says the retirement age provides 3 options for an employee to retire. Mrs. Simukoko says among the options an employee can follow is to go on early retirement at the age of 55, which is discretion of the employee, who should give notice to their employer while aged 54. She says the other option is an employee retiring late at the age of 65 years, which has to be at the discretion of the employer if they still need the skills of the employee. Mrs. Mkoko says the PF carried out wider consultations on the new retirement age with the labour movement and the tripartite consultative council consisting of employers, employees and government. She says UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema must know that there is no rigidity involved in the new retirement age, as government is not forcing any employees to retire at 65 years. Mrs. Simkoko says government has instead provided for this flexible graduated arrangement, which empowers employees to make their own choice, either to retire at 55 or 65 years. She also said in a statement to ZNBC News that government is working very hard to ensure that all retirees are paid their pension benefits in full. First Lady Esther Lungu has handed over 25,000 kwacha to various women clubs in Chief Nalubamba's area in Namwala district. Mrs. Lungu has urged the recipients to put the funds to good use as they are meant to fight poverty in the area. The First Lady, who handed over the money during a public meeting in Makotolo, has also urged parents in the area to safeguard their children, especially the girl child, by investing in their education. And earlier, when she called on Chief Nalubamba, Mrs. Lungu thanked the traditional leader for his effort in uplifting the welfare of women in his chiefdom. And Chief Nalubamba, who thanked Mrs. Lungu for being the first ever First Lady to visit his capital, promised to monitor the use of the funds. Chief Nalubamba said there is need for traditional leaders to take interest in the way funds given to their subjects are utilized in order to realize sustainable development. Now, the World Press Freedom Day Zambia Organizing Committee has called for balanced and ethical practice ahead of the August 11, 2016 general elections. Organizing Committee Secretary Henry Kabwe has since advised local media practitioners to be cautious in their duties. Mr. Kabwe says journalists must provide balanced reporting of events surrounding the elections before, during and after to ensure the electorate make informed decisions. Mr. Kabwe was speaking in an interview with ZNBC News.
Media is for them. Whatever we do is for the public. Whatever ZNBC does is for the public. So let them be part of the media and let them come and join us. In order for them to ensure that we have a free, diverse and independent media that are going to serve the interests of the public. Well, yeah, I'd like to urge journalists to be cautious as we go towards elections. Let them ensure that the people are given information that is going to make them decide in an informed way.
Meanwhile, media owners have been implored to pay their journalists well, as the media personnel play a pivotal role in the development of the country. Kitwe District Commissioner, who is also a patron of the Northern Media Club, Chanda Kabwe, says journalism is a noble profession as journalists provide checks and balances in the governance system of the country. The Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation ZNBC has apologized to Patriotic Front PF Deputy Secretary General Mumbi Piri and her family for airing her recorded Sunday interview whilst she had a bereavement. ZNBC Corporate Affairs Manager Masuzu Ndlovu says the public broadcaster apologizes for any inconvenience the development might have caused to Mrs. Piri and her family. Mr. Ndlovu says the Sunday interview where Mrs. Piri appeared yesterday was recorded 2 weeks ago and would have been aired a week ago had circumstances allowed.
We would like to apologize on behalf of ZNBC, apologize to the family of the PF Secretary General, Mrs. Mumbi Piri, that we aired the Sunday interview program at a time when the Piri family had a bereavement. This program was actually recorded about 2 weeks ago, and we were supposed to have aired it about a week ago. But due to certain factors in our programming, we were unable to air it about a week ago, and we instead aired it this last Sunday. So we do apologize to the family, to the Piri family, for having aired this program at a time when they had a bereavement. As a corporation, we would like to sincerely apologize to the Piri family and for any inconvenience that this could have caused.
Meanwhile, Mr. Ndlovu has disclosed that Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation will on Wednesday this week hold a stakeholders meeting with political party leaders. He said the meeting will be held at Mass Media Complex at 09 hours. Mr. Ndlovu said the corporation has sent invitation letters for the meeting to chief executive officers of political parties. He says the meeting will provide a platform for ZNBC to roll out programs that have been lined up before the August general elections. Mr. Ndlovu said the stakeholders meeting with political parties will further discuss other matters of radio and television programs. We now take our first break, and coming up is mining news. Keep watching. Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Livestock, Lawrence Evans, has urged the human health and animal health care providers to work together to eliminate zoonotic diseases that originate from animals. Mr. Evans says it is estimated that 60% of infectious diseases affecting human beings originate from animals. He says there is need for health professionals to increase public awareness on only eating food of animal origin that is free from diseases. Mr. Evans was speaking in Ndola during the commemoration of World Veterinary Day under the theme Continuing Education with a One Health Focus. Details in this report.
She's one of the small-scale farmers here in Luansha who has ventured into dairy business. Helen Piri is also the board chairperson for Fisenge Dairy Cooperative. The dairy cooperative has 300 members who deliver milk to this milk collection center on a daily basis. And this is a source of employment and income for many women like Mrs. Piri, who now explains the benefits of dairy production.
The advantages of keeping dairy animals is that it's a business, it's a good business. About 300 farmers are delivering milk. The average per day is about 3,500 liters, which farmer comes to collect every day.
But being in any business has its own challenges.
Some of the challenges that we are facing currently is the hike in the feed price. The feed, maize bran, everything has gone up, and then where we supply our milk permanent, we have not increased the price. They've also increased the transport costs, but they haven't increased the price for milk.
Fisheries and Livestock Permanent Secretary David Shamlenge was on the Copper Belt and outlined some of the initiatives government is undertaking to empower small-scale dairy farmers.
The President, His Excellency, the President instead, Kachagwaru, wants to see empowerment to the people at the grassroots level. And that's why he sent these animals. So restocking has already been flagged off. We want to see how you are doing with the ones which we've given you, so that we can see how you can benefit with more animals that are coming.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we want to also to ensure that you strengthen your associations and your cooperatives. Okay. Make as many cooperatives as possible, so that through cooperatives we can still empower you.
Sure.
Because from here you start thinking of how you are going to add value. Very soon you start seeing milk yield going up.
Some of the milk that is sold at Parmalat comes from these small-scale farmers here in Luansha who belong to a dairy cooperative, and each one of them brings a minimum of 20 liters of milk a day to the milk collection center, and some of them make as much as 11,000 kwacha a month. Amos Zulu, Luansha.
In other agriculture news, government has released 3 million kwacha for the restocking of the state ranch in Shango district in Western Province. Provincial Minister Poniso Njeulu has told ZNBC News in an interview that the restocking will be done by the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. Mr. Njeulu said the ministry has already started identifying animals along the line of rail, which will later be taken to Shango for breeding. Mr. Njeulu, who is also Sinjembela Member of Parliament, said government has to this effect constructed 2 staff houses at the ranch. He further said government will soon set up an abattoir in Ngunya area in Shango at a cost of 14 million kwacha. And that's it for agriculture news this evening. More stories next week.
Thank you for staying with us. A visiting handball coach from Norway, Paul Gerson, says the introduction of handball in schools in Zambia will help grow the sport. Gerson says schools should embrace handball as the sport has the potential to win the country medals at international competitions. He advised young handball players to continue working hard and focus on representing the country at big tournaments. Gerson has been training the handball under-20 boys and girls who are in camp preparing for the Zone 6 Handball Championship in South Africa later this year. He says the under-20 boys and girls teams have shown tremendous improvement during the 2-week camp. 4 top boys and girls handball teams from last season will this Saturday take part in the Champion of Championship tournament at the Olympic Youth Development Center.
We've introduced strength training recently, or we're doing it for some months now, and I can really see the results, especially the boys. The boys have been training from the duration of my time here, and I just noticed today or last week during the camp that the performance are really going up, so I'm proud of them. Oh yeah, definitely. It's been introduced in the ball games this year in the schools, so it's going to grow, and it's going to grow fast. We're really looking forward to it, and it's going to do a lot for the sport. We're going to have a lot of new athletes.
Youths in Kitwe have been urged to engage in various sports disciplines to generate income and keep away from social vices. Kitwe District Commissioner Chanda Kabwe says sports has the potential to change people's lives. Kabwe notes that a number of youths are scooping medals in sports, adding that youths in Kitwe must use sports to better their lives. He was speaking at Kitwe Boys Secondary School during the award presentation ceremony for the Edgar Lungu Sports Tournament. Here's a report.
Took part in the Nkana Constituency Youth Tournament held at the Kitwe Boys Secondary School. The 20,000 reach event, dubbed Sontapo Edgar Tournament, attracted youth from all the wards in Nkana constituency. Scores of youths took part in football and netball at the tournament. At the end of the day, the youths were happy with the outcome of the tournament. Chanda Kabwe is Kitwe District Commissioner.
Ifyefya chifuiri okuba bantu abakwata endalama babonfya endalama ukusongelekanya abantu balelwa nomba imwe bakiteme mwabula endalama okuleta abantu kyapamo mumutende ifwe kuno tulefa abakwata omutima wakubombera abantu nga President Edgar Chagwa Lungu.
The winners of the tournament in the men's and female categories walked away with 5,000 kwacha each, while the runners-up got 3,000.
Tournament twachkwata lelo, we have jumped it Sontapo epo wabomba. Family mo wabomba bakateka ba Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Ama roads, ama hospitals, ifin evo wakateka wakwato kufikirisha muno chalo chesu cha Zambia.
The sponsors of the tournament urged youths to remain productive and rally behind the leadership of President Edgar Lungu and the PF government.
Ati sumbula tumone simbo akwatae. Ati sumbula tumone enga wali kwate simbo wali wanamura.
Lilian Kalava, ZNBC News, Kitwe.
And in the MTN Super League, Mighty Mfulia Wanderers have continued sailing in troubled waters after the legendary Cup fighters lost at home to Zanaco Football Club by 2-1. This was in a Week 11 game played this afternoon at Shinda Stadium. Mighty, who are yet to resolve the issue of the head coach, considered the 2 goals in the first 45 minutes of the game. Zio Tembo and Rodrick Kawe were on target for the Bankers, who now have moved to 4th position on 12 points. Mfulia Wanderers scored their consolation goal through Joseph Kasongo in the 80th minute, going 9 games with only 1 win. The loss this afternoon increases pressure from fans who are now calling on the executive to quit. That's a wrap of your sports. Good night.
As we end the news, here are the headlines once again. The Law Association of Zambia says it is opposed to the holding of the national referendum alongside this year's general elections. President Edgar Lungu today chaired a cabinet meeting which was held at Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka. The construction of the $163 million power transmission line by ZESCO to connect Northwestern Province to the national electricity grid has advanced. Finally, in sports, a visiting handball coach from Norway, Paul Jelson, says the introduction of handball in schools in Zambia will help grow the sport. Remember that for these and other stories, you can log on to znbc.co.zn. That's it for the news at 19 hours. Join us for the next news update at 22 hours. I'm Pennifer Nyurenda on behalf of Isabel Banda and the entire crew. It's good night for now and God bless you.